Greetings everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now in the past we've been talking about survival kits, and this time around let me show you a couple more builds that I've been working on since the last self-reliance kit video that I did. Now what we have on the table right now are three different options. The first would look familiar, and it's basically a pocket survival kit. It's a newer version of my Pocket Master. The second option is what I call my SOL, or shit out of luck tube. And the largest of the three would be my grab pouch. Right off the bat, you can see that the main difference between these three kits are the sizes. And as we dive into each kit, we will see that it's more than just the size. That's the main difference between these three kits. Previously, I talked about the Pocket Master, and I made some slight modifications to this particular Pocket Master. This was actually my original Pocket Master kit. The box itself has been around for over 30 years, I should say. Now, you might see some similarities between these three kits, or between this Pocket Master and the original video that I did. But just the same, let's dive into each of these kits one by one. Now, let's start off with the largest of the three kits, which is what I call my grab pouch. Right off the bat, you can see from the outside of the pouch is a small roll of medical tape and some dummy cord applied to it. Of course, my original Magpul patch. And opening up the kit, one of the first few items that we see is a high-pitched whistle, which is dummy corded to some high visibility paracord. The next item would be my Mora Eldris, which is my main cutting tool for this particular kit. Next would be another cutting tool, which is, you all know, my Victorinox Walker, which again is dummy corded to the pouch itself. I have my Knipex 125 pliers, some high visibility cloth, and underneath that is my Work Sharp pocket sharpener, again dummy corded to the pouch. I have with me what would seem like my original Pocket Master kit. Check out the contents later. We have this little hard case with my Simple Shot keyring slingshot inside, and I have a small boo-boo pouch. Now, like I've said before, normally I would not mix up my survival and first aid items in one kit, but the boo-boo is an exception that I made, since boo-boo kits don't necessarily, or are not necessarily, that elaborate, that you have ointments and medication and tourniquets and trauma shears and all that stuff. So adding a boo-boo kit just like this small roll of medical tape is part of my boo-boo kit for just minor cuts and scratches. Now, let's focus on just these two small items that are part of my Go pouch. You might think that this is similar to the Pocket Master. Well, it actually is. Basically, what I did was switch out some of the components of the original Pocket Master and made this small Altoids type case to contain most of the small items for the Go pouch. Of course, there's the big lighter, there is the bag thread, the button compass with lanyard, fire steel, a pencil, a small razor blade, some surgical suturing needles, a Right in the Rain notebook, the glue stick, the Fresnel lens, and of course, the base plate card which I made. So right off the bat, it would seem like it's the same kit. Well, most of the components are. It's just that I took away some of the other components to fit into my new Pocket Master, which we'll talk about in a while. Now, my goal with this particular plastic box would be to hold the smaller items just so it doesn't jangle around the inside of the go bag or the go pouch. It's just an organizer for the smaller stuff. So that's the main purpose of this particular plastic box. Now, if you notice, one of the things that I took away from this particular Altoids box is the blade, which I replaced it with a small razor simply because on the outside, or as I showed you earlier, my main cutting tools would be the Eldris and the Victorinox Walker. So in terms of cutting, it's just about covered, and this particular Altoids tin will simply be an accessories, a small accessories box. And now that we've seen the contents of my Altoids tin, let's take a look at this particular hard case. And inside is, well, it's supposed to be a hunting tool, but it's more, I incorporated this particular item just for the heck of it, just for fun. And what's inside is my simple shot keyring slingshot with tubular bands installed, and I've set it up to fire 6mm BBs. And inside I have a spare band set just in case I'd like to do some plinking while I'm bored. If need be, I can set up this slingshot with heavy bands and it will still work with 8mm or 9.5mm ammunition in a dire emergency to hunt something. So a survival kit within a survival kit. And these are the small items that you will find in my Go pouch. So just as a recap, here are what I have in this particular grab pouch. My blades and tools and the work sharp pocket sharpener just to maintain these particular tools. I have something to plink with. I have my small items like fire starters and stuff like that. I have a small boo-boo kit and a high-pitched whistle. So as you can see, this is the most elaborate of my smaller survival kits. Now, the idea behind this is I have one single pouch to grab, and I will have with me most of the bare essentials that I might need in a bug out or a survival scenario. So this particular grab pouch will be part of a much larger setup. It could be a standalone thing, but most likely what I intend for this pouch is that I will stuff this inside some sort of a go bag with my clothes and extra food, extra water, and stuff like that. So this will work best with a canteen and a nesting cup. And that is my original intention for this particular pouch. It's something that I can grab and I can have at least most of what I might need to start over in a shit show. So most of the tools that I might need. Of course, there's always that wanting to take an axe or wanting to take a much larger fixed blade. But if in case this was all I had, I believe I have the stuff that would help me make it out of a really bad scenario. And now let's get into what I call my new Pocket Master. Now it's important to note that the Pocket Master or Altoids tin would work best if you already had your everyday carry system on you. So this Pocket Master would be part of the everyday carry system that you already have, most likely in your pockets or within reach. So let's see how I modified the Pocket Master. In reality, this particular plastic tin has been with me since the late 1990s. Originally, I used it to store rechargeable batteries, and over time it became one of my original pocket survival kits. And inside, first thing would be the whistle combined with fire steel. I have some duct tape, of course my flame extenders, the Bic lighter, or in this case a disposable locally made lighter, my button compass which is wrapped in soft leather, my Wazoo ceramic blade and P38 can opener, a glue stick, I have this plastic thingy which I got from some Japanese candy or something. And my intention originally for this would be to fashion it into some sort of a scalpel holder. And again, the toothpick from my Victorinox walker. And lastly, my improvised compass card or compass base plate. So as you can see, there's really not much in this Pocket Master except I have two ways to start a fire. These are just flame extenders. I have a compass for, again, another button compass for navigation. This compass is really old. It's part of a US Air Force survival tin and it's dated 1973, if you can see that. So something to navigate with, something to start a fire with, something to do minor repairs, of course something to cut with, and if ever I find a can that doesn't have the easy open tab, I have my P38 can opener with me. So this would be in addition to my everyday carry system, which is I would most likely have some sort of a Swiss Army knife or maybe a fixed blade on me or my everyday carry pouch with me. So this thing would hold smaller items which will complement my everyday carry system. So this is absolutely an everyday carry survival kit for me. So this is my new Pocket Master setup. And lastly, you might ask, what the heck is this thing? Now, I called it my SOL tube. So, this is a new take on the survival kit concept. Originally, I was planning on covering this particular tube with either duct tape or camouflaging tape, which works quite well. But for now, I like the color, and if ever, either in an urban or forest scenario, I can still easily find this thing. Now, what's inside this tube is a bare bones setup. And when I say bare bones, it's a really bare bones setup. It's just something to add to an existing survival kit, or it may be the smallest thing you can incorporate into your backpack, or most likely what I would do with this is incorporate it into an LBE or a fighting harness, and what's inside it is quite simple. Wrapped around it on the outside is a beverage bag, which I basically got from an old MRE kit. The Bic lighter, again, the full size Bic lighter, a small fire steel. For a cutting tool, I have a surgical blade, couple of zip ties, flame extenders, homemade flame extenders, an unsharpened pencil, and a small sharpening stone. So as you can see, it's a very, very bare bones. There's really not much to it except that I can make a fire and probably store some water, and I have a cutting tool. The sharpening stone is if ever I needed to sharpen the lone scalpel. And why would I be carrying an unsharpened pencil? Is I was thinking I would use the shavings of the pencil for tinder to incorporate as my fire starter. So that's basically the philosophy behind this particular survival tube, or my SOL tube, Shirado lock tube. And as you can see, it's really bare bones to the point that there's not much in it. I was thinking of wrapping the outside. Maybe if I added duct tape to the tube itself, then maybe it would be a little more functional. But then again, ideally, the SOL tube would again be part of your everyday carry system. So you'd have a much larger, either a Swiss Army knife, you already had your flashlight on you, or you'd have your EDC blade on you. So in a pinch, it might work as a solo survival kit even without a proper knife, a proper flashlight. If this was all you had, then somehow I could still make this thing work. Somehow, maybe, just maybe. And there you have it. This is just a short rundown of the three latest survival kits that I've come up with. Like I said, building survival kits has become a passion and a hobby of mine for the last 30 or 40 years. And it's easy and it's so much fun to build just as long as you have the right components, or even if you didn't have the right components. Because, like I always say, a survival situation forces one to improvise, and it's your mastery of improvisation that will make things work with whatever little you have. You would be lucky to have something like a Wenger tool chest, which is the equivalent of Victorinox Swiss Champ, or you might have the smallest Victorinox that I have, which is the waiter. In a survival situation, you would have to make do with whatever you have, and that's the whole point. I see no point in carrying a survival kit that's too complete with all the comfort items, etc., etc. The point here being that you have something as small as a pocket master, or something as small as my SOL tube, and probably the largest I would carry, or the largest I would incorporate into a bug out bag, would be my grab kit, because most likely I would already be carrying some sort of an EDC item, some sort of a fixed blade knife, some sort of a Swiss Army knife on me, or maybe even a folder like this Cold Steel Pro Light. So at the end of the day, just need something to add to my existing survival kits, or I don't want to have to carry anything that would only take up space and weigh me down if in case I get into a bug out scenario, because that's the only way that I see that you would be using these items. That's the only purpose of these items, is that if you were away from home, and that's the whole point. I cannot get as far away as I wanted to if I was saddled with a large survival kit with all the creature comforts inside. So it has to be something that's really bare. It could be just a Swiss Army knife that I have on me, and that would have to be with this particular tool. I have to be able to fabricate everything that I need to survive, procure food, make shelter, build stuff, whatever. That's the whole point of a survival scenario. That's the whole point of a survival kit. It's not about being comfortable in the wild. It would be nice to have stuff that would make you comfortable, but in a pinch, I'd be lucky to have just the Pocket Master on me, because one, you never know when a disaster will strike, and two, you never know where you would be if and when a disaster strikes. And if you were away from home, away from your place of safety, then guess what? You'll have to contend with either your SOL tube or your Pocket Master. And basically that's about it. And that's about it for now. I hope that inspires you to build your own and not simply just buy stuff. Until next time, this has been Absabando for Manila Sentinel Raw. Build your own survival kits.
Fox 5100, maintain and heading, climb 3,000 feet, runway 13, clear for immediate takeoff.